Hi everybody, thanks for joining me today. So, a little further, still working on the pink and purple flowers under the fountain. And as you can see, I have a whole whack ton of threads here, parked here, so I think this will be an interesting session. Not really any big blocks of color in this area. It's yeah, there's going to be a lot of color changes. That should keep things interesting for you. Yeah, bit of a blustery day here today. Windy and a bit rainy. Managed to get my walk in before it rained, so that was good. But yeah, it's a little gloomy. I've opened up all my living room drapes, so hopefully the light in here will be decent to give us a good video here. As well as my interior lights on, of course. So oops. So yeah, my diagonal line's right about there, so I'm just sort of going up and down this area, filling it in. As yeah, sometimes to keep from closing stuff in, I sort of have to keep going further down the diagonal and work my way back up. So like I've said in other videos, I don't work row by row. I follow the colors and just let them guide me through. Okay. Yeah, I got another 0 yesterday. Woohoo. And we are closing in on 92% today. So yeah, it's always exciting when the end is in sight. Pardon me. Yeah, I actually got a good, decent night's sleep last night, so hopefully I shouldn't be yawning through this like I often am. Oh dear. Of course, now that I said that, I probably will want to yawn. Yeah, I'll have extra time for stitching today because this evening my husband and son are starting up the radio course again. My husband has a license to do the amateur ham radio, so he's an instructor. So yeah, he really likes teaching. He actually considered being a teacher, but yeah, they really don't pay teachers enough, you know. And it's a lot of schooling, so in the end he decided not to. Became an engineer instead through the military. He's no longer in the military, but yeah. He did that. So yeah, but yeah, he said he has fun actually. He makes likes to make visual aids for when he's teaching and stuff. So because I'm the crafty person, he'll often come to me and say what he wants to illustrate, and do I know what materials would work for that, because he was trying to explain how, I think it was electrons flow, and so he had some plastic tubing and he wanted to use some like big wooden beads or something to demonstrate the electrons moving. So yeah, we had fun going through the craft store figuring out what would work. Yeah, because sometimes explaining stuff in words is not enough, right? The visual aid can really help. Okay. Yeah, so man, is it ever a seller's market out there? Our next door neighbor, he unfortunately, his wife passed away last winter. They're a older couple, retired. And so he decided he's going to sell up his house, move in with his grown son and family. And so yeah, they've been, fixing things up the last few weeks. They put it on the market last week. The sign went up in their yard, and it's sold already, like in less than a week. Like, holy cow. Oh, that's just wild. But yeah, I've had friends saying like they're trying to buy and everything just gets snapped up before they even get a chance to look at it. It's gone. And often it'll be investors coming in who can pay well over asking price. So I mean, the average person doesn't really have much of a chance. So, but yeah, so I'm hoping that we get some good people moving in next to us. We've been pretty lucky in our neighbors, except for the ones who let their dogs bark all day. But had another talk with them, and it's been blissfully quiet ever since. I hope that that's the last of it. What turned out was happening was that they're renovating, and so the owners really weren't there much in the day. So the dogs are barking at the people working in the house because they don't know them, right? It's strangers in their house, and they're, trying to scare them off or whatever. And so all bloody day long. So I mean, I wasn't very happy because it's like, if you're not going to care for your dogs, you should be boarding them somewhere. Not really fair to them either, right? To just sort of abandon them like that. So but yeah, thankfully they said, "Oh, we're sorry, didn't realize that it was that bad bothering you," because yeah, and so I think they either took them to wherever they're staying while the renos are happening, or they boarded them somewhere. But oh, because that was just, and one of their dogs, I think they have a pit bull, and one of their dogs is a German Shepherd, and they have such a very deep, throaty bark, and it really carries, like you can hear it for blocks and blocks. And they live sort of, their fences, they're on the other side of our fence, right? So yeah, it was loud. And like I said before, like I get it, dogs bark occasionally, and that's fine. In fact, I thought it was quite funny because our back fence is like, you can't really see through it. It's wood, And so I was in the back one time throwing a bunch of old milk cartons and stuff into our trailer there. Once we get a whole bunch, we take them to the bottle depot for the deposit, because I don't know where you are, but where we are, we have to pay deposit on just about everything, including milk. And so yeah, so I was taking a big bag, throwing it on there, and the dog all of a sudden at me, and made me jump because I didn't know he was there, right? He was so quiet coming up to the fence. But I mean, I laughed. I thought that was funny, right? Because to him, it's like, hey, you're getting close to my property, right? So yeah. But yeah, when it's all day long, then I run out of patience. My nerves were just shot. Ugh. Yeah, and I mean, we let it go for weeks, hoping they would do something. I don't want to be the person who, goes over to complain the instant something happens, But yeah, it was finally going on for, hours and hours and hours on end. Every day. Couldn't take it anymore. I mean, I said, good thing I'm not a shift worker. Imagine if I had to sleep during the day. That would have really sucked. But so yeah, thankfully that's done. But yeah, don't know who's moving in next door. I wonder if they'll be a younger family or an older one or what. The people with the dogs who moved in last year behind us, I think they're younger than we are. My husband and I are in our 40s, but they don't have any kids, just dogs. So we'll see. It's kind of a mix around here. There's a few families on this street with kids younger than ours. So my son's in high school now. Their kids are, yeah, elementary schoolers. And then there's a few older retired couples on our street, so their kids have moved out. Yeah, our neighbors across the street babysat for us a few times because their daughter was a teenager when we moved in, and I was pregnant with our son, so yeah. But yeah, we didn't go out a lot. He could get quite fussy when he was a baby, so I didn't feel fair leaving him with a teenager. So yeah, people say they don't like having teens, but honestly, I don't mind it. It's nice. We got to go to an event a few weeks ago, and it's like, oh, no need to worry about getting babysitting since, he's 15. Don't even need to cook for him before we go because he can make his own dinner. So, yeah. So I don't mind that at all. It's quite nice, actually. Yeah, I was never much of a baby toddler person. I mean, they're cute and stuff, but yeah, I've always been more of an older kids person. Yeah, like I'll hold a friend's baby, be like, oh, they're so cute, and then think, yeah, I'm really glad I'm not having any more of these. Oh. Well, we wanted to have more than just one, but yeah, unfortunately, my body was not so good at staying pregnant, so yeah, we just have the one guy. Yeah, actually, October was Miscarriage Infant Loss Memorial Month, so it's way more common than people think. I said 1 in 4, has experienced it. It's just really not talked about that much, so yeah. Like, I certainly didn't know how common it was till it happened to me, so. Okay. All right, so now I'm gonna work down again, because that's the way these colors are going. Yeah, once I fill in this little bit, all of these will be tucked away, and we will continue on downwards, down the diagonal, so. Oh, getting very close to a 0 there. There's only 3 of this stitch left. But I think the other 2 are scattered a ways away when I checked, so I won't be hitting a 0 with that one yet, unfortunately. Yeah, I mean, we're still not even quite halfway across this pass, so once we get past that halfway mark towards the end, that's when everything's really going to start zeroing out. Okay, back to this one because I know that this one is threaded. I just dropped this needle and then I can tie this one off. Oh, I said no more zeros, but look at that. This is the very last stitch of 210, so woohoo. Love when that happens. Okay, so that means I can now grab my envelope, put this piece back into it, and set that aside. Put that back into my my master set because it is done for this one. So yeah, then that means one more, or one fewer envelope I have to search through when I'm going through colors. Yeah, my next pattern that I have planned, my Majora's Mask, it has a lot more colors. It's like 150 or something, but a lot of them are only 1 or 2 stitches worth. So yeah, stuff will get zeroed out pretty darn fast on that one, I think. Okay. Oh. Well, I said I wasn't going to yawn, but so much for that. Yeah, unfortunately, my medication has a shortness of breath as one of the side effects. So unfortunately, even when I'm not tired, I tend to yawn a fair bit because I kind of have to catch up. Yeah, it's why I can't do really much more vigorous exercise than walking. I get very out of breath. Even a few years ago, we went sledding, and by about the 3rd or 4th time up the hill, I was just, was so winded, you know, and I just thought, what the heck? Like, I didn't think I was that badly out of shape. And then it was like, oh, right, it's, yeah, the medication. Because I wasn't running up the hill, you know, I was just walking up it normal. But yeah, it was like sort of after that 3rd sled run down, it's like, yeah, I don't think I can take walking up the hill again. So I said, I'm just going to sit down here at the top and just watch you guys. I've had enough. Because yeah, you can pull the sled back up, but I mean, I can't exactly expect you to pull me back up the hill. So yeah, we're on the prairie, so it's pretty flat, but there's a few areas where when they were digging out to build basements, they put all of the extra fill in one spot, so they actually created a huge sledding hill that we like to go to. And there's a couple schools, same thing. They created some little sledding hills for the kids. Yeah, when my son was in elementary school, we actually used to just leave his sled at school because well, I mean, our yard is flat, so that way it was there during recess whenever he wanted to go for a few runs when they had time. Okay, I'm actually going to do this one first. It's by itself, so I can do all 3 of those other ones that I highlighted before at once rather than having to switch back and forth. So I do switch colors back and forth a lot with this method, but yeah, I mean, if I can avoid 1 or 2 of them, then depending on what order I do stuff, then I will. Might as well. Okay. Okay, so that one. Right, because then when I do this one, I can do all these 3 at once and end off the thread. I didn't have to sort of do one, this stitch, then do another, then switch to another color, do another one, then switch back. So saved me a little extra work. Just double checking with my grid lines that I'm on the right row here. I would hate to put this in the wrong place and tie it off and then realize it was wrong and have to pick it back out. And if you've already ended the thread, then you have to pick back out even further so you have a piece long enough to secure it. So yeah, that's very annoying when that happens. Goodness, there. It's being uncooperative. Okay. Yeah, I got sort of two similar flowers here along this diagonal edge. Just have to make sure I'm starting in the right place. I've done that before. And I had to take a break for a while before I tried to figure out what I did. Okay, lots of threads, but now a lot of them are sort of coming to an end here, so. Yeah. Okay, so I did these. I'm going to tie this off rather than pin stitching it because the purple sort of ends here and I don't want it showing through. There's some lighter blues coming up, as you can see from what's parked here. And I can see from looking at the pattern, so yeah, I don't want to risk any showing through. So I did that because then I'm going to take this and go all the way down here and back up. I mean, provided this thread is long enough, of course, which it is, yeah. Yeah, I just attached this one recently, so it's still pretty full length. So I'm gonna go do all the bottom legs, come back up, and that way I didn't close anything in, and I didn't have to start a new thread for these couple ones down here, since it's not long to carry at all, only a couple of stitches worth. this is out of the diagonal. So I'm going to park and unthread and leave it for the next section. So sometimes I go past the diagonal and sometimes I stop before it. It's just sort of what makes sense and what I feel like. And then that way also helps avoid lines. I haven't really ever had a problem with lines, but I know some people do, and this can help avoid them if you keep the diagonal sort of wavy or fuzzy, as somebody once put it. Not sharp and crisp, then yeah. But yeah, I've seen people who do, they're very disciplined and they go on an exact diagonal or an exact straight column and not have lines, so I guess it all depends. I find it keeps it interesting too. Okay, so that means these are done. That one is done. Yeah. We're gonna put all of these aside. Just twisting them a bit because there's some shorter ones there and it's harder to sort of keep them contained. So if I wrap them around the bigger ones, the longer ones, they stay a little neater. I just love watching the pictures slowly appear. And I love no empty spaces left. I even had one time I finished a project and I washed it and was ironing it. I discovered I'd missed a stitch. Whoops. Luckily I discovered that before I framed it, but yeah. I have one though that I mounted so I did it where I make my wall hanging, so it was glued together with the fabric and everything. And it was only after I was completely finished with it, I realized I missed crossing one X. It's like, no, there's no way to fix it. And like a lot of people are like, well, I can't see. And even when I show them exactly where it is, they're like, I don't see it. But yeah, that's going to haunt me forever. Oh dear. Okay. So I'm going to use up a smaller bit here. Might not even have enough to park. I might have to add another small one, but I really don't want to add another big long piece that's going to end up with smaller leftover bits when I have so many leftover bits here. So yeah, I want to use some of them up. Yeah, occasionally, just because of how this method goes, sometimes I can end up with quite a few leftover pieces at once. Generally, they get used up because with patterns like this that have a lot of confetti, there's almost always one stitch sort of by itself that's perfect to use a small piece for. But yeah, sometimes, especially if I've been working in an area that has a lot of that color, I'll end up with sort of a lot of leftover pieces and no single scattered stitches to use them. So then when I have a clump of just 3 or 4, I might use a couple of those ends at once and get them used up. Okay, so put those aside. So in order to do, let's see, how long is this bit? Let's see what I want to do. Yeah, you know what I'm actually going to do? I was thinking that I was going to fill in, hang on, I'll unselect. I was thinking I'm going to fill in all of this here and then do these, but what I'm actually going to do, let's clear that. What I'm actually going to do is, because I can see I have a longer bit and there's some down here, down to the left, what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to do these two at once. So bottom legs, then back down to cross the top legs. And then I'm going to park that right here. That way I can do these three and then park it down here when I get there. So that way I didn't have to add another thread. So that's why I chose to do it that way. Let's see. Okay, I was just going to tuck this one away, but as it is threaded still, I will just do that stitch. And it's long enough to do one more here. So I'm going to unthread it though, because it's a super short piece and it will not stay on. I know that from experience. I will just be making a potential tangle for myself later. Okay, so I have one parked here, this color. Let's just dig it out. Okay, but I'm going to be doing that and carrying that one to the right. So I'm going to start another thread here. Yeah, because they're quite far apart from each other. And they kind of go in different directions. So that's what I'll do. I'll have one thread going one direction and one thread going another. So I've had people ask sort of when to add another thread. Again, as with all of my stitching, I really don't have hard and fast rules. It depends on how the colors are going, how long the threads you have already parked are, even what threads you have in your leftover tray. Just do whatever feels right to you, you know? If you would rather have fewer threads and carry the thread further to avoid that, then do so. If you want to have separate threads so that you're not crossing back and forth or closing anything in, then do that. It's totally up to you. There's no right or wrong way. Like I've often said, the only rule that I have is, of course, I always cross in the same direction. So bottom legs always go / way, and top legs go the opposite way. And the only other rule is I always park in the upper right. If I parked some in the lower left, then you can potentially end up with two threads coming out of the same hole, and that can be really confusing too. Figure out what is what. You can mix yourself up just so much more easily if you park something wrong, which does happen. As much as I try to avoid it, I mean, I'm still going to mess up sometimes. So yeah, that's really my only rules. Cross in the same direction, always park in the same spot, the upper right, or whatever, wherever it is that you always start your stitch. That's up to you. As someone pointed out to me, if I parked in the lower left, I'd be coming up in an empty hole instead of parking in the top, but I didn't think of that when I was first starting my parking, and I think if I tried to change it now, I would mix myself up a lot. So it really doesn't matter where you park in the square as long as you are consistent with it. That's really the only rule there. So yeah, like I said, this is lots of confetti here. It's definitely interesting. Using up my brain power. Might have to take a break and do some background later on today when I have less computing power left in my noggin. Okay. 208. Then I guess we're going to have some more navy coming up. Further on down this diagonal. Yeah, and then sort of the next area to the right is almost like cobblestones. So just a few colors, but I think there's still going to be quite a bit of color changes to get all that detail of the separate little stones. We'll see when we get there. But yeah, there's been not very much big blocks of color in this pattern. This is the most intricate pattern I have done so far. Yeah, kind of didn't realize when I picked it, but it's worth it. Because yeah, you kind of think of full coverage patterns as, I mean, they're all complex, but actually some are more complex than others. The Marvelous Garden that I have planned, which is the peacocks, actually has bigger sections of color all through it, more than you would think there are. So yeah, and that's why I'm sort of doing the beginning, the top left first, not filming it, because it's almost all, it's like 96% white, one color, so that'd be kind of boring to watch, I think. So yeah, I'm doing that, and I will do some stitch with me sessions when I get to working on the main part of it, when it's more interesting and has more confetti. Okay, another color I can end off. Only 2 of this left. But the next one is not for several diagonals, so no such luck that we'll get a 0. I thought maybe. But no, not yet. Another bright color, so draw it across the back to finish. Okay, so I did that one, parked it there because this way, yeah, I want to do like I did before. Throwing needles at myself. Oh, now I don't know which one it is. I'll just grab another. Oh. Oh, you know what? This is too short. I was going to do these and then carry it back to the up to the right, but no, this is too short for that. So I won't bother. I'll do these two. And then I'll do this one here. And then we'll end off the thread. I'll start a new one for those other stitches of this color once I get to that area. Yeah, I usually don't have as many threads going across the back, but this is a high confetti area and these colors are so bright. I don't want the ends popping through, so. That's another reason a lot of people like the pin stitches is they can reduce some of the bulkiness on the back. And I discovered that I found they are actually more secure than drawing across the back, especially once they get stitched over with other colors. Yeah, they can be almost impossible to remove. So, okay, 601. I didn't think they would be that secure because it's, you know, just a little bit of thread going through the fabric, but yeah, it's actually quite a lot more secure than I expected it to be. Oh, whoops. I thought I'd caught the loop already with my needle, but I didn't. It's another one where there's only 4 stitches left, but the other 2 are a ways away, so. Be a few days till I get to them, I think. This piece is tiny, but I think I can squeak a little bit out of it. 2 stitches out of it, that's all I need. Yeah, I saw somebody's review actually complained that they found these needles are too short, but actually I like them shorter because it helps you to get every last usable bit of thread out. Needle being shorter can mean you can get a couple more stitches out of it, so I don't mind that at all. In fact, I would find a long needle too unwieldy. I guess they were used to sewing needles because I find those tend to be longer. than embroidery needles. You actually saw where somebody had double-ended needles, so like the eyes in the middle and both ends are pointed, so that supposedly they can really get the most use of it, but I think I'd be really confused by that and end up twisting my thread. So yeah, I'm happy with the ones I got. So I didn't leave that threaded because it's a short piece. I'm going to be filling in all this area probably first, so it's going to be a while before I get to it. So not really much point in keeping it threaded. Don't know if you can hear that, it just started raining. Yeah. Let's try not to tangle. There we go. Okay, so if this was a shorter piece that was only good for like one more stitch, I would probably carry it down over to the left, but as it's a longer piece, I'm going to carry it over here down to the right because there's a whole bunch of this color in that area. So yeah, that just seems more efficient to me. Almost grabbed the wrong one. Okay, now it's time to pick up that thread. right, now we finally filled it in. Now we can do these 3 that I spoke of earlier, and then park it to do those other 2. I didn't do anything out of order. Sometimes it's not avoidable, but most of the time I can manage it. Yeah, I started where I wasn't worrying as much about closing stuff in. I tried that, but yeah, I didn't have enough breaks built in from changing colors that my poor arms were on fire, especially my right one, so I'm not doing that anymore. I got a lot more, well, not a lot, but I did get more stitches done, but yeah, it was not worth it because I was hurting myself. Okay. This should be fun, not causing me pain. I definitely don't want that. Okay, so let's see what I'm planning for this. I can actually do this with one thread, mostly one thread, and not do stuff out of order. Oh, I also want to see, actually, I have a thread parked right here of this color. No, it's short. Okay, so if it was longer, then I would have sort of filled in next to it and then carried that one back up, but it's too short to bother doing that, so. Come on. There we go. There, thread wanted to tangle as I was pulling it out. Was able to pick it free. Okay. All right, so I'm going to do those 6 there. Okay, then I'm going to park it here, right there. Oop. There we go. Then I'm going to do this color. Okay, I can see I have more down to the right. This is a long thread, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to do this one, and I'm going to park it down over to the left, over here. because I know that I have lots of little pieces, so I can find a really short little one to do for just that stitch there. Yeah. Otherwise, if I carried that thread up here, it either would have had to end it off or it would have been a really long carry to take it back down. So again, like I said, when to add another thread depends on quite a lot of things. So just do it when it makes sense to you. Holy moly. Somebody, I guess, getting one last motorcycle ride in before it's before the conditions are no longer good for it. Because yeah, we're supposed to have snow soon. It's not supposed to stick. We're supposed to have like pretty wet rain snow mix, and it's going to be above freezing, so it won't stick around. But yeah, you definitely should not be taking a motorbike out in that kind of condition, not unless you have a death wish. Yeah, you will never get me on one of those things, I can tell you that. Oh, no thank you. Okay, actually I will do this navy color again that I parked earlier. I'm going to do that one. Actually, those two there, might as well, since I already have the needle in my hand. And then park that there. Okay. Yeah. So you can see I actually managed to do this this area of the navy blue with one thread, even though it kind of meanders around a bit. Just a little planning ahead. Yeah, so that's one of the things, because instead of doing that all at one go, because I take breaks switching colors and marking stitches off, that's enough that I don't get the pain in my arms from overdoing so much at once. So I'm going to fill in those. Okay, this one is too uneven. There. Okay. Park that there. If I can get it to register. I did just reboot my tablet because it was being a bit of a persnickety, but this is like a 3-year-old tablet, so it may be time to invest in a new one. We'll see. Yeah, I mean, I can't really complain. I think I paid 75 bucks for it. It's giving me many, many hours of stitching, so. And yeah, I don't really use it for anything else. There was a couple of times I watched something on it, but most of the time it's for stitching only. Yeah, actually, I did that when I wanted to watch the figure skating coverage on the CBC app, because they show the whole competition, not just the highlights. On TV, they generally only show the final flight, they call it, like the last 5 skaters. And then, yeah, for like the Olympics, when I watched it on the app, I got to watch all of them. Okay. You can see some of the new up-and-comers sort of before they become big names. Plus, I can't cross stitch while I watch figure skating, so I knit instead because I don't have to look at my hands when I knit. With cross stitching, obviously, you gotta be looking at what you're doing. So. Yeah, I think we actually got a fair amount filled in this section. Oh, I can tell. That was only one of the 2 strands actually went through the eye. There we go. Will not work that way. Okay, so thinking I'm going to wrap this up pretty soon. Let's see if this thread will even go that far or not. I know it's pretty short. I may have to add another little small piece for the last couple of stitches of this. We'll see if I can get it or not. No, I think actually, I can play thread chicken and win. Oh, it was funny. Thinking of going chicken, I saw a picture online where somebody had 3 people tried to take the freeway exit at once, and they got completely wedged in their cars. So, yeah, they all lost that game of chicken. They all assumed somebody else was going to slow down and let them through, and every single one of them was stubborn enough that they did not. So, yeah, then nobody was getting out of that exit. Oh, yeah, my husband was saying, and if you don't have a sunroof, you can't even get out, you know. Because, yeah, they were like completely wedged in that, between the concrete barriers. I wouldn't want to have to be the tow truck guys having to try and figure out how they're going to get those apart. Oh, like I wonder if that would be enough damage to write them off. If they get wedged bad enough, would you bend the frame, right? Oh my goodness. Yeah, that's why if somebody's being a jerk and they're going to cut me off, I'll just let them go. It is not worth getting into an accident over it. I do not want to write off my vehicle. I was lucky to avoid that when I got rear-ended last December, so. Yeah, especially because car prices are so high right now because of the supply chain shortages, right? Yeah, because yeah, they said they can't get the computer chips that they need for the new cars. I mean, for pretty much anything. My husband's been having similar issues with getting parts to fix stuff because he works on electronics and transmitters and things, and so yeah, it is yeah, everybody's feeling the pinch of that stuff. There. Again, this is sort of on the borderline of the diagonal, but because these are the last 3 in this color here, I'm just going to do it in that way. I can end off this thread and have one less thread to deal with when I do my next diagonal. Okay, so that's those 3. So there's only 3 left of this color. There's 2 more there. Oh, I'm betting the next one isn't till like maybe way over here. I'm not sure where it is. Oh, maybe not. Yeah, I can see 2 there. Yeah, I don't know where that last one is. Guess we'll come across it when we come across it. Yeah, I like searching it out, but sometimes you can't find it easily, so yeah, I guess we'll see. Unless it's one that I did earlier but missed filling in, because that can always happen too. Another way actually you can check on this is you can, instead of the DMC colors, you can use a flat color and and then that one color will pop up if it's one that you missed coloring in on stuff that you've already done. So yeah. So if you missed one sort of in the sea of gray now, it would be easier to see. But no, it doesn't look like that either. So maybe I'm just blind and I can't see. Oh well, I guess we'll see it at some point. So I think that is a good place for me to stop for the day. And I'm going to, once again, thank you for joining me. And I hope to see you here again another time. All right, thanks everyone. Bye.